Yo, yo. Clippers in Minnesota taking on the Timberwolves. Welcome in. Show starting 14 minutes from now. I'm Adam Osland. We'll have Lob Murray on. Carlo Jimenez, of course, on the call. Clippers trying to make it two straight with number 2 Kawhi Leonard back. It's exciting, to say the least. Kawhi playing his second game this season. He'll still be on a minutes restriction. I told you guys this yesterday on 2 different shows. Just know, game gets close, late in the fourth quarter, doesn't matter. Once Kawhi hits his minutes restriction, likely 20 minutes, just like game 1, he's not playing more than that. So before I see y'all going, come on, play Kawhi, they're trying to have him for the playoffs. This is his preseason right now. That is exactly how they're treating it. It's just not a must-win game. The season is not going to be defined in January. But hey, the rest of the guys, usual minutes for them. Vincent is trying to stay calm, but Kawhi and the team looked good last game. They did. Atlanta also looked horrific. I think that played a role. I don't think they took that game that seriously after they got punched in the mouth early. Minnesota, scary basketball club because they've lost 3 in a row. Their season feels like it's teetering. And it's a very similar situation to the last time the Clippers were there. Remember, Anthony Edwards called him out for being soft, and then they won that game 93-92. Clippers had a couple of bad turnovers late. Also, it was the game where they didn't intentionally foul for some reason, and it really frustrated me. But hey, we can let that go. Let's see. We got... Yes, need a win. Always. Is there any time you guys are going to say they don't need a win? Like everybody's like, need to win this one tonight. This is the one. Win this one tonight. I hear that every night. So, Coach Lou said pregame the rotation may be somewhat different against a bigger Timberwolves front line, but the starters remain the same. James Harden, Norman Powell, Chris Dunn, Kawhi Leonard, Ivica Zubac. Here's Coach Lou on the minutes.
Kawhi's minutes and treating this like a preseason game. Are you going to space them out so that there's potential that he could play closing minutes?
No.
You're just going to play him to... He could play all his minutes in the first half, technically, in your mind.
Not very technically. Yeah, he could technically, but that's not how we got it set up. But he won't be closing the game right now, no.
They're not trying to have him in short spurts. I've seen people say, why don't you just play him 5 minutes every quarter? They want him to get some longer stretches out there to catch a rhythm. They want to do this differently than they did with the ACL. So if it's a close game, Kawhi's out of minutes. Oh, well, they got to figure it out. They've been doing so. They went 19-14 without him. Who does Bamba take minutes from? Ooh. Could be Man, could be KPJ, could be Amir Coffey, could be Nico Batum. I would say those are your 4 candidates. That would be my guess. But I was a little bit surprised. I thought DJ might get the start against Minnesota because they're bigger. Throw him at Jaden McDaniels some. Or excuse me, at Anthony Edwards. Jaden McDaniels will maybe be on Kawhi some. Minnesota is not playing well at all. I think I had this number right yesterday. Want to make sure I do before I give it out. Let me see. Let me see. I did a preview for you guys at Clippers Talk right here yesterday. I went through some of the numbers. So Minnesota is 25th defensively their last 10 games, where they are 4-6 and have lost 3 in a row. That is very unlike the Timberwolves. That is an extremely bad number for them, especially considering the roster and the talent to be great defensively. Last season, they were the best defensive team in the league by far. They lost Cat, yes. It shouldn't be this bad. Yeah, it could be the same as last game, where Kawhi Leonard is out of minutes in the third quarter or early in the fourth. That's my guess. It is his preseason, which I talked about and said, that means preseason, a lot of times starters, they only play the first half. I don't think he's going to play 20 to 24 minutes in the first half if it's still a 20-minute limit restriction. But you might only have 6 minutes to play total in the second half. There's a real chance of that. Only 6 or 7 minutes in the second half. So could be 40 minutes and that's it. It's okay. Kawhi's back. That is the good news. They're going to bring him along slowly. And we will take any Kawhi Leonard minutes we can get. But this is something I was telling you guys yesterday, and Coach Lou confirmed it today. They're not going to push things just because it's a close game. When his minutes are up, they up. We up in 7 minutes. Danny, you want to see if you can connect with Carlo?
Yeah.
Yawning tears because it's been working. That's why. Come on, guys. We're 35 games in. Thank you, Vincent. Show starts in 5. I'll be back here in 2. He's not going to wear out just because he's playing the entire first quarter. He's going to wear out because of an accumulation of total minutes, not just playing all of them in the first quarter. I got plenty of Diet Coke over here, guys. I am ready to go. I love how people are like, I'm concerned about him wearing out. Like the team has no concept of how that could happen with James Harden. They're just not even paying attention to that. We need to get yelling tears on the coaching staff because I think they may have overlooked something. They have no idea, and they don't track every single minute and how many explosive movements he has out there. It is, guys, they're on it. Welcome into Clippers Countdown as your 20-15 LA Clippers are on the road again for the next two games starting tonight in Minnesota against an underachieving 17-17 Timberwolves team that has lost 3 in a row, including a loss against the Pistons last game, even with Anthony Edwards having a career-high 53 points. But they are a wounded and desperate animal right now, and that's a dangerous one. Of course, the Clippers, they just got a lot more dangerous themselves after their alpha dog return last game in Kawhi Leonard.
And at forward, 6'7" out of San Diego State, number 2, Kawhi Leonard.
James puts it on the deck, floats a pass through with Leonard. On the left, they go with 5 to shoot. A three's up and in! Welcome back, Kawhi! From way downtown, the Clippers tie us up at 5. Clippers right to left, Leonard's open, left wing 3. Yes! Funk guy from downtown. Bounces to Zubac. Finds Leonard. A right wing 3. Rattles in. An early 9 for the Claw. Swings it to Kawhi. In his return on the left wing, he's got 10 points. He drives. He stumbles into traffic. He flips to the right hand. It goes over the top of the rim and falls in. Leonard up to a dozen in 19 minutes.
Daniel West with the mix, Kawhi Leonard with 12 points in 19 minutes, and the Clippers dominated and won by 26 in Into a Dome over the Atlanta Hawks. Here was Kawhi post-game on FanDuel TV with Lauren Rosen.
Clipper fans absolutely thrilled to have you back out there tonight. How did it feel?
Felt great. I was able to throw some paint on the canvas tonight and we're working to create something beautiful. So let's keep it going.
You are certainly an authority on good defense. What do you make of the defense that this team has been able to play this season thus far?
We got a lot of guys that want to guard their best player. They're taking pride on that end. And, they've just been carrying it, and I just have to step in and keep doing what they were doing.
James Harden had 15 assists tonight. Some of them found you. What's it like to play with someone that's that prolific at that skill?
All-time great. At scoring, he can pass the ball as well. And, that's why his jerseys will be in the Raptors.
Kawhi Leonard, thank you so much. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Welcome back, number 2, who's in his second game now this season with the Clippers as they are in Minnesota. Tip-off between the Clippers and Timberwolves is just about 58 minutes away. Coming up, we'll have La Murray of The Athletic here. But up next is your radio voice of the Clippers and Carlo Jimenez right here on the Los Angeles Clippers Audio Network.
I've been self-made from the dribble. I was been saying I'm a killer. Playing no games with you. Pop, clutch, switch lanes.
Clippers in Minnesota taking on the Timberwolves. Welcome back in. I'm Adam Osland. This is Clippers Countdown, the official pregame show of your Los Angeles Clippers. Still to come, you're going to hear from assistant coach Brian Shaw. But first, let's get over to your radio voice of the Clippers from the Target Center. It's Carlo Jimenez. Carlo, my guy, how we doing?
Adam, what's up, man? I'm doing good. I'm seeing your beautiful face here on the live stream on YouTube. If you're not tuning in, you should at Clippers Talk, where you can like and subscribe. But other than that, I'm good. It is a brisk 9 degrees outside, so I am very happy to be inside here at the Target Center and hopefully inside for a Clipper win.
That's brisk, baby. All right, Clippers taking on the Timberwolves tonight. Coming off their first game with Kawhi Leonard to rousing success. They won 131-105 over the Atlanta Hawks a couple of nights ago. And now they're out on the road, but let's talk about Kawhi. First impressions with him being back in the fold. The Clippers just dominated. It just seemed like he amplified everything they do. They just did a little bit better.
You pointed it out early, but they just had more spacing out there. He was another player who could get steals on the defensive end, and they still played their brand of basketball, Adam. I think that was the most encouraging thing that I saw from Kawhi's performance is the Clippers were still themselves that have led them to this 19 and 15 start up until that point, and then you add Kawhi Leonard into the fold, and they continue to just be an elevated version of that team. 8 guys scoring double figures in that game. Kawhi Leonard, a key piece in that run they go on to take a 27-point lead later in the contest. I just felt like, Adam, he was a steroid to everything they've been doing, an enhancer for this group, and a big-time enhancer at that. What an impressive showing it was from him. Never looked timid, never looked like he was not trying to put enough pressure on his leg. He played basketball the way he's going to continue to play it throughout the season. That was the most impressive part. And then also, Adam, him saying post-game, playing isn't hard. It's not playing that's hard. So it seems like he's very comfortable right now being on the floor. Clearly, the Clippers have done a fantastic job. Big shout out to the whole medical staff over there and making sure that he's ready to go at 100% the first time he hits the floor.
You saw Kawhi Leonard locked in from the outset, too, in that ball game, was very vocal with the Clippers defensively, getting guys organized on that end. He had a steal where he couldn't convert it on the other end. We know there was some rust he has to knock off. It's going to take some time here. He'll still be on a minutes restriction, but so far, so good. Knocking down 3 3-pointers to me is just huge because it shows the legs are there.
Yeah, it does. It shows his ability to stop guys on the defensive end also was there, Adam. I thought he contested for a couple of big rebounds in that game and felt like for Kawhi Leonard, his ability to play 8 straight minutes in that second quarter really shows where he's at. I mean, Ty Lue was trying to call a timeout because he felt like his minutes were over in the third. But if you would ask me, what's the longest stretch of minutes Kawhi would play at once, you'd probably think somewhere to 6 to 7. And we get to up to 8.5 for Kawhi Leonard without taking a single break on the floor. It was good to see him feel like he could be a big part of this team, and he's ready to take on that role to be a big part of the team. I almost felt like he could have shot it more in that game, Adam. I know he had 3 threes, maybe 4 in that contest, but fun to watch him.
An unselfish superstar out there, had those 12 points in just 19 minutes. Clippers taking on Minnesota tonight. Of course, not the only player back, as Terrence Mann had missed a month with a broken left middle finger, and he was perfect from the field. 5 of 5 and was decisive and assertive out there. Very confident with the shot as well.
Very confident with the shot. I thought Terrence Mann gave him the bolt of energy that they were looking for. Ty Lue was asked pregame, what does T-Man bring? And the first words out of his mouth were energy. His ability to run up and down the floor, to get to the rim, to make the stop defensively, and to be the rebounder on the defensive end. Terrence Mann is a connector, Adam, and then you connect him with a guy like Nico Batum, another connector. This Clipper team has got key pieces. If you want to make a deep playoff run, you have to have guys who are going to get the offensive rebound, who are box out there, man, who are going to make the tip rebound to another player, do the dirty work. And it was great to see the Clippers bring in another young guy who's able to do the dirty work, a young in this Clipper team, and maybe not young in NBA terms, but young for this group in Terrence Mann, be another connector that they need him to do, similar to Nico Batum. Just be able to help out wherever he is needed on an offensive or defensive end.
We talk about Kawhi not taking away from anything they're doing well, just adding to it. And James Harden with 13 assists in that first half. He became more that floor general. He was very comfortable in that role. I believe 1 assist shy of a career high and a half.
Yep.
Like, that was really impressive to do that in Kawhi's first game.
Super, super impressive for James Harden. Just be a distributor. I talked with this off air with Jamie Maggio, who was after the game, but James Harden loves playing with Kawhi Leonard, and you can tell when the joy there is between the two of them. I think James posted twice on Instagram before Kawhi came back, and including a little snippets. I mean, they have a lot of fun playing on the floor together for one reason or another. I think, Adam, honestly, it is Kawhi Leonard's probably the easiest pairing of superstar to have with another superstar. He's never going to demand the ball. He's never going to ask for more touches. He's going to play within your flow of the offense, and he's going to be a factor every single night on both ends of the floor. And clearly James Harden is thrilled to have not the entirety of the intention on him. Maybe that sheet of players that other teams are scouting says a new name up top in Kawhi Leonard, or it flip-flops a little bit. Nonetheless, Harden's life gets a lot easier when Kawhi Leonard is out there, and we saw that with his 13 assists in the first half.
Yeah, there's definitely some kinship between those two. James Harden always has Kawhi Leonard smiling courtside, yes. Playing or not. He has the fun guy in good spirits. Clippers tonight in Minnesota taking on the Timberwolves. Tip-off is just about 49 minutes away. Coming up next is we got Kawhi Leonard, of course, playing tonight. But we also have Brian Shaw, assistant coach for your Los Angeles Clippers, coming up with Carlo Jimenez right here on the Los Angeles Clippers Audio Network. Clippers and Timberwolves from the Target Center in Minnesota. Tip-off is just about 45 minutes away. Welcome back in. I'm Adam Oslin. Still to come, we'll go back in time in Clippers Rewind. But first, we're going to head back over to your radio voice of the Clippers and Carlo Jimenez.
Thanks so much, Adam. Carlo Jimenez here with assistant coach Brian Shaw before the Clippers take on the Minnesota Timberwolves. Coach, Kawhi Leonard comes back last game. What did you take away from his return?
The biggest thing that I questioned before he came back was how the team was going to react to either trying to adjust to him. I was hoping that he would more try to adjust to the team. And he came out, he didn't try to, do too much, move the ball. I think he gave us a lot more spacing because of the attention that he draws. So I don't think it was a coincidence that we were able to score as many points as we did in the paint and get out in transition and have the kind of looks that we had. It's just something that we want to continue to build on. And as he gets more and more minutes and used to how we've been doing things in his absence.
When you look at how you guys have played the last 10 games, I think you're top 10 in pace. You had an NBA high 46 fast break points last game. Is it a point of emphasis to play faster for the team, or is that just sometimes how it plays out?
Well, it's always been a point of emphasis for us because we typically have been one of the slower paced teams.
Yeah.
So as a coaching staff, it's exactly what we want. I think our guys have been guilty of only looking for James, to outlet the ball to. James has a habit of going back to get the ball all the time. And, it kind of, sometimes defeats the purpose. We do have multiple guys that can push the ball. So we're always emphasizing if somebody else gets the rebound that can push for James to run the lane, as well, and to, throw ahead passes. And so, I think last game in particular, teams are used to us kind of playing a little bit more methodical with James at the top of the floor and calling different guys up in the pick and roll. But we did a good job of, like I said, throwing it ahead and being in attack mode, and that's resulted in the amount of fast break points that we had.
Last one for you, Coach. But this Minnesota team plays a lot different this year, doing a lot more from three. Anthony Edwards, 53 points last game. He leads the NBA in three-pointers made. How does that change the way you have to guard him as a team because he is going to shoot the open three?
Well, it's what do they say, 6 in one hand and half a dozen in the other. The fact that he's shooting and attempting more threes means that he's attacking the basket less.
Yeah.
And you just have to decide which one you think is more dangerous, him, the threes that he's shooting, or him attacking the basket. We prefer him being on the perimeter and just having, contesting those threes that he's taking, because once you get in the paint and you break down the defenses converge, and then that's what opens it up for everybody else. And so a player like him, on a night like the other night when he scores 53 points, they still lose the game. And, everybody else was held at bay. So I think that, you would take that exchange, no one else really getting into a rhythm. And because the things that really beat you, like I said, he's a superstar. He's going to get his on a nightly basis. When you look up in DiVincenzo and McDaniels, Nasri, Nickel Walker, they have 14, 16 points. That's what really hurts you.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Coach. Best of luck.
All right. Thank you.
There was assistant coach Brian Shaw. Pregame with Carlo Jimenez. Clippers in Minnesota from Target Center. They are taking on the Timberwolves tonight. Tip-off is just about 42 minutes away. Coming up next here on Clippers Countdown, we'll go back in time in Clippers Rewind right here on the Los Angeles Clippers Audio Network. Clippers in Minnesota taking on the Timberwolves with Kawhi Leonard. Tip-off is just about 39 minutes away. I'm Adam Osland. This is Clippers Countdown. Coming up, we'll get your player to watch. But first, we're going back in time in Clippers Rewind over 11 years here to November 11th of 2013. The movie Dallas Buyers Club was in theaters, where Matthew McConaughey and Jared Leto won Academy Awards for Best Actor and Best Supporting Actor, respectively. On the radio, the song Royals by Lorde was just taking off, and the Clippers, they were taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves, where there was a battle between two of the best power forwards in the game back at Staples Center.
Griffin has it against Love to the left hand. Love steps back to three. Bingo. Love got it. Oh, that's a nice little move by Kevin Love. Love and Griffin both have 7. Beautiful move.
Well, I think Blake has sensed what I'm seeing. That not only is he physically more gifted than Love, but he's got more energy tonight. You can just feel it.
Ball to Griffin. Wow. Hold on. Curl it in.
Yeah, Kevin Love had to change his diet to get more energy. It was an epic back and forth between the two bigs. K-Love finished with 21, 19, and 7 assists. Blake Griffin had 25, 10, and 5 assists. And oh, yeah, the Clippers came through late with a 109-107 victory over the Timberwolves back in 2013 at Staples Center. Coming up next, your player to watch, plus Law Murray of The Athletic will be here. I'm Adam Osland, and we're just about 27 minutes away from tip-off. Clippers in Minnesota taking on the T-Wolves. And this is Clippers Countdown right here on the Los Angeles Clippers Audio Network. Clippers taking on the Timberwolves in Minnesota. Tip-off 35 minutes away. Coming up, we'll have Law Murray of The Athletic on, plus Carlo Jimenez will return. But first,
This is LA Clippers basketball.
Watching this guy play right now is really something.
Players to watch.
I'm going with Big Zoo in this game. Going up against Rudy Gobert, the Stifle Tower. It is a really good matchup. They have had their battles over the years. Big Zoo is averaging 15 and 13 on the season. I think in a lot of ways he has surpassed Rudy Gobert. He's looked better than him. Zoo's the younger player. You look at the defensive rating, the way he protects the paint, and now what he's able to do offensively. You can't just dump it into Rudy Gobert and say, go get a bucket. Ivica Zubac can do that. He did it last time out on Saturday night with Kawhi back in the fold against Atlanta. He had 18 and 18 on 9 of 11 shooting, plus 4 assists, a couple of dimes to Derrick Jones Jr. for dunks in that second quarter. I just love the overall well-rounded game of Ivica Zubac, but he will be tested against Rudy Gobert. Last time out, when Minnesota won 108-80 at Intuit Dome on December 4th and just blew out the Clippers on the second night of a back-to-back, Big Zoo had just 4 points, 10 boards, 2 of 4 shooting. In that first battle in Minnesota, though, he had 16 and 13 in 34 minutes on 8 of 9 from the field. Of course, the Clippers lost that game by 1 late. It's time for them, as Pat Bev would say, to get their lick back against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Tip-off is just 34 minutes away. Up next, your injury report, and then Law Murray of The Athletic right here on the Los Angeles Clippers Audio Network. Clippers in Minnesota taking on the Timberwolves. Tip-off is just 31 minutes away. I'm Adam Osland. This is Clippers Countdown. Coming up, we got La Murray on from The Athletic. But first, let's get to your injury report. Brought to you by Prize Picks. Download the app today and use code KLAC to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. For the Timberwolves, Luka Garza is questionable with an ankle injury. Rob Dillingham is out with an ankle injury. Clippers healthy and ready to go in this one, complete with Kawhi Leonard. He'll be on a minutes restriction. More on that coming up with La Murray of The Athletic. I'm Adam Osland, and you're listening to the Los Angeles Clippers Audio Network. Clippers in Minnesota taking on the Timberwolves. Tip-off is just 28 minutes away. I'm Adam Osland. You're listening to the official pregame show of your Los Angeles Clippers. It is Clippers Countdown. Coming up, we'll get to an NBA out-of-town scoreboard, but coming on the show right now from Target Center is the man of The Athletic who broke the news of Kawhi Leonard's Target date. The date was met. It was hit. Now he's at Target Center. Kawhi Leonard is back. This will be game 2 with the Clippers, still on a minutes restriction. Law Murray is joining us here on Clippers Countdown right now. Law, how we doing, my friend?
I am slightly warmer than I was most of the day. It is cold up here, man. It is cold up here.
Man, it was like 65 earlier this morning here in Burbank. What do you mean? I'm feeling the same thing out here. Come on.
Yeah, it'll be good to get back. It will be good to get back. I'm just going to say that.
All right. We'll see you back at the Dome on Saturday, but the Clippers got a 2-game road trip first. How would you evaluate Kawhi Leonard's performance against the Atlanta Hawks Saturday night? Is that what you were expecting?
It was about where I was expecting. There were obvious signs of rust, and that really showed up inside the arc. What I thought was great to see, was he made threes. He made his first 3, he made his next 3, and he started the game making his first 3 threes. And this is after, back in April for the playoff series against the Dallas Mavericks. When he came back, I noticed he missed every 3 that he took. And you saw in that game, too. I know a lot of y'all probably blocked that playoff series out of your mind by now. But that game, too, was basically swung by Kawhi not making threes and P.J. Washington hitting them. That was like a big difference because the Clippers outplayed the Mavericks in almost every single category outside of the shooting. And so game 3, Kawhi, he has a little bit of a setback, not one to knock him completely out of the lineup in between games 2 and 3. Kawhi didn't even attempt a 3. He was a decoy in game 3. And so, I asked because we weren't sure if Kawhi was going to get to go for game 4. We were expecting him to get to go. And I asked in that practice before game 4 in Dallas, can Kawhi shoot threes? And T. Lue's like, yeah, he can shoot them. And then, less than 24 hours later, Lawrence Frank is telling the media that Kawhi is out indefinitely. So Kawhi coming back in the best part of his offensive performance was being his shooting, I thought was an incredible sign. I talked to Terrence Mann after the game about Kawhi, and T-Man, I didn't even bring it up. Terrence was the one who brought up, hey, he's shot the ball incredibly well in his workouts. That's the thing that translated the most. And even watching him warm up pregame here in Minnesota, I saw Kawhi just working on shots from 3 that I've never really seen him work on. The no dip, extended range 3, what we like to call 4-pointers. And then I also saw him, do this thing where he would dribble and step into his shot and then shoot the 3 like a free throw, like not having his feet leave the ground. I think that is a big part of what Kawhi wants to do as he ramps up. He knows that at the very least he can run on the fast break, catch from James Harden, and launch that thing from 23 feet.
We got Law Murray on from The Athletic, also of NBA TV fame. At Law Murray, the NU is where you find him. So, Law, I needed you to clarify something for me because post-game, I listened to Kawhi, and I saw him say, quote, it was flared up and I couldn't move, so now I'm just keeping it moving, and I don't know, it's just day to day, talking about his right knee. Baxter Holmes of ESPN, he characterized that as saying it happened recently. I interpreted that as he was talking about the initial injury going back to early April. How did you see it?
Yeah, I would say it was because Tomer asked the question about, managing the injury and how he knows it's feeling good and when it's not feeling good. And I took it as Kawhi referring to how he was feeling over the summer and in April when this thing first came up. And clearly that's not how he's feeling now. You know what I mean? That's not something that's been the case recently because we would have definitely heard about it. It would have definitely been a situation where, he would have been parked even longer. I would say everything since training camp has gone in the right direction. That's a long time now, because we went to training camp the last day of September. I was on that flight to Hawaii. It was a long flight. So it's been a long process. He was held out of camp. He was held out at the start of the season. He was strengthening that knee. Then he had to work out on his own. Then he had to get invited back to practice in a limited capacity. Then he had to take contact, travel, and practice on the road for the first time. Then come back, play with the G League team, practice with the G League team. This is a long process. He's checked a lot of boxes. We haven't heard about a setback. And I think it's just Kawhi describing, how he feels and when he is not feeling well. And thankfully for all involved, that knee has not been an issue as far as it stiffening up to the point where he can't move in a while. But we also, now that he answered the question Saturday night, we can understand that that's how Kawhi was feeling when he wasn't able to go.
Yeah, I just want to reemphasize to anyone who got freaked out by it saying recently in there, Kawhi said nothing to that effect, didn't imply that. From everything that I heard, and I listened to it like 10 different times, to me it was him describing what he felt with the knee when it initially took him out last season. All right, let's talk about another guy who was back. Terrence Mann looked like he was picking up where he left off of, because he unfortunately took that injury at the wrong time as he was just starting to trending towards the right direction. But he was fantastic against Atlanta.
Yeah, man. And Terrence is, again, I talked to Terrence not just about Kawhi, talk to Terrence about he's in what he would call another new role. He was in lineups and that had him at either the 4 or the 5, depending on what you characterize from those positions. Now, here's how I characterize them. Defensively, Nico is more likely to take on your centers, and Terrence is more likely to guard up, which we've always said that's what is the best use for him. He's not really a guy that you want on the point of attack. That's his weakness defensively. But then offensively, you saw that Nico is spaced out. Like Nico had 2 dunks. We ain't seen Nico with 2 dunks in the game since I don't know when. Certainly not this season.
I think he had 1 dunk all season.
He had 1 dunk all season going into Saturday night. He had 2. And Terrence was responsible for at least one of them. But offensively, and this is what I mean by positions and actually defining what they are instead of just dismissing them and saying it's positionless basketball. Nico is going out and spacing out to the corner. That was Mo Bamba's role, okay? Because Mo rarely plays inside the 3-point line. He doesn't roll that much. He never posts up. Terrence is really good at screening and rolling as a 6'5" player. Like Reggie Jackson describes him to me as one of the best screeners on the team, if not the best screener on the team. I wouldn't call him that now. Vince Zubac is pretty damn good, especially his work with James over the last year. But Terrence is a Swiss Army knife. He's the perfect reserve because even though it's frustrating to have to apply a different role based on an opponent or where you're at in the season or who else is available to play, he is just a high floor player. He's not necessarily a high ceiling player. I think people have been disappointed by that. But Terrence was so good because he is smart. He's a smart basketball player, and he's at his best when he's not hiding in the corner, which is, again, put that dude at the 5 offensively against teams that don't know how to play against that. And all of a sudden you got a 6'5" guy who plays like a 6'9" guy, a guy who can roll, who can make good decisions out of that short roll, but also a guy who can make the baseline cut and finish at a high level. That's peak Terrence Mann. I am interested to see what that dynamic looks like tonight because Minnesota looks a whole lot different defensively than the Atlanta group that we saw Saturday night.
And their starting 5 looks differently, too. I was listening to Chris Finch after their loss post-game to the Detroit Pistons, where Ant had 53 and it didn't even matter. And he got kind of snippy with the media, pushing back against them, asking him questions about a change to the starting lineup, saying if there was a cure-all there, he would have done it by now. But tonight, it's happening, Law. What do you make of the move?
I'm shocked because Chris is always snippy. I do got to point that out. I've been to plenty of Chris Finch press conferences. I'm a fan of Chris Finch.
Me too.
He is very blunt. He is really, again, I'm a writer. I'm a reporter. I'm an analyst. So my favorite coaches are the ones who have a lot to say about what basketball is supposed to look like and what they like and what they don't like, what they prefer, what they don't prefer. And Chris is going to be blunt. He'll tell you straight. He'll tell his team straight, and his team responds to that. No matter what weird stuff is going around the Minnesota Timberwolves, no one really, looks at Chris Finch as part of the problem. They look at him as part of the solution. Well, sometimes a coach has to, get over himself, right? And especially after a loss, like that's emotional for everybody involved. You put in 24, 48 hours or whatever it is trying to get your team ready to play, and then the result doesn't go your way. And then 15 minutes later, you got to speak to a bunch of people trying to like ask questions and write stories and post content and whatnot. Yeah, you're probably not in the best frame of mind. But then you cool off, you watch some film, you talk to your team, you talk to your staff, you talk to your front office or whatever. And it's like, okay, what can we really do? And so here's what I like about this move. Mike Conley has had a great career. He is at the twilight. He is at the cliff. It happens to small guards. It happens to old small guards. It's not, it just is what it is. And so the way that they have Anthony Edwards playing anyway is that they want him making a lot of the decisions. Anthony Edwards touches the ball more than anyone on that team, more than Mike Conley does, more than Julius Randle does. But when you have Julius Randle, he's another guy who takes, touches away from guys. So Mike's not really playing point guard. Mike's like more of a shooting guard, if you think of it that way. Well, guess what? You got Dante DiVincenzo, who can be a shooting guard. Dante DiVincenzo last year was a guy who thrived once he got starter minutes in New York. He can shoot the basketball, play off the ball, give a little spot ball handling if you need it, defend really well, and now you're bigger as well. You don't have a small guy in your starting lineup. And now it helps the Timberwolves bench because the Timberwolves clearly don't trust Rob Dillingham, their top 10 pick that they traded somebody's son for, to draft it, in the top 10 from San Antonio, right? They clearly don't trust him, and Rob's not even healthy to play. So now Mike Conley gives them a real backup point guard. You don't have as much, blend between DiVincenzo and Nikhil Alexander Walker, who played extremely well against the Clippers when I was here on Black Friday. It just balances things out. All this is in theory. The practice will play out. The Clippers are, working on their things too. I think it's incredibly interesting. It makes this game. This is why regular season matters, Adam. The people who say, "Oh, it's just one of 82," or these games don't matter. Just wait to the playoffs. This is a huge development for the Timberwolves, and obviously we're already going through a huge development with the Clippers and what they're trying to do.
He is Law Murray of The Athletic. Read his latest, How Kawhi Leonard's Return Felt at Into a Dome and How He Resets the LA Clippers. Subscribe to The Athletic. Follow him at Law Murray, the NU, the Law and the Claw at Target Center tonight. Clippers taking on the Timberwolves. Law, my friend, hope to talk to you on Wednesday. Thanks for doing this.
Hey, thank you. Enjoy the games, everybody.
Coming up next, we will get to an NBA out-of-town scoreboard as we're just 15 minutes away from tip-off. Clippers in Minnesota taking on the Timberwolves. I'm Adam Osland, and this is Clippers Countdown right here on the Los Angeles Clippers Audio Network. I can't do it, homie, it can't be done. Clippers in Minnesota taking on the Timberwolves. Tip-off is just 12 minutes away. Welcome back. I'm Adam Osland. Coming up, we got Carlo Jimenez from Target Center. But first, let's get your drive around the league. Brought to you by Toyota's electrified lineup, including hybrids, plug-in hybrids, all electrics, and even fuel cell electric vehicles. So you can choose exactly the type you need for your lifestyle. We make it easy. Coming up later tonight in Sacktown, the Kings, coming off a big victory against the Warriors last night, are hosting the Miami Heat, who are reeling a little bit after a big defeat in Game 1 without Jimmy Butler, as they're looking to trade him. The Memphis Grizzlies will be tipping off against the, just decimated by injuries, Dallas Mavericks, because now it's not just Luka Doncic who's out. Kyrie Irving could be out for the next 1 or 2 weeks with a back injury, and they're taking on the Grizz in Memphis coming up. Right now, a couple of scores for you. 8 minutes left in the second quarter in Detroit. Blazers all over the Pistons already, 47-30. Shaedon Sharpe with 11 points early on. Tobias Harris has 10 of the Pistons' 30 points. And the Suns trying to figure it out. And they're in Philly against a team trying to figure it out. 76ers up 30-29, 5 minutes left in the second. Kelly Oubre Jr. with 8 points. Clippers in Minnesota taking on the Timberwolves. And up next, back to your radio voice of the Clippers and Carlo Jimenez right here on the Los Angeles Clippers Audio Network. Clippers tipping off against the Timberwolves just about 8 minutes from now here on Clippers Countdown. I'm Adam Osland. Still to come, your keys to victory. But first, back to Target Center and back to your radio voice of the Clippers in Carlo Jimenez. So a change to the starting lineup for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Bit of a shakeup here. Mike Conley's out. Dante DiVincenzo is in. What do you make of this move, Carlo?
Yeah, it's a move I think they had to make, Adam, because Minnesota just didn't have the spacing on the floor that they needed to when they were playing on the offensive end. Mike Conley had been struggling as of late in his last 9 games. I was talking to Alan Horton, the radio voice of the Minnesota Timberwolves. He said there's a net rating of -14 for Mike Conley in his last 9 games. He'd been struggling from the field. And, Adam, this is a Minnesota team that Chris Finch was asked about changing the lineup earlier this week, and he said, look, if that's the silver bullet, I would have done it. But he didn't make the change. Now, all of a sudden, they've struggled in back-to-back games. He has made the change,
here to put Mike Conley to the bench. It's the first time Conley will be coming off the bench in a Minnesota uniform in his career. But I think it opens things up for them offensively because last year, I was talking to Law, I don't know if he mentioned this with you, Adam, but Anthony Edwards had more touches offensively than Mike Conley, and Mike Conley was almost playing a shooting guard-like role last year. Law said he actually asked Mike, are you even a point guard anymore? And Mike smiled and just shook his head a little bit. So now you get a true shooting guard in there with Dante DiVincenzo on the wing. It's going to space things out for this team. And you talked about on Clipper Stock during your preview, which I thought was great. But this is a team that just doesn't have the space they need. They don't have the ability to spread you out on the floor. It's why Anthony Edwards has half the dunks this year than he did last year at this point in the season. He is not seeing the same seams when he's trying to go downhill.
Ooh, now that is a tongue twister right there, Carlo Jimenez. Forget
seeing the same seams.
Move over, toy boat. Yeah, I like the move. I think it could also embolden Dante DiVincenzo, who's still shooting percentage-wise. He's just not where he was in that same place last season with the New York Knicks. Might get him to be more comfortable out there. I got a big zoo. Ivica Zubac is my player to watch for the Clippers in this ball game, Carlo. Who are you going with? And it can't be Kawhi.
What?
Too
Can't
easy.
be Kawhi.
Too
Where are
easy.
these rules written down? Show them to me.
Look,
I
got
didn't
it.
sign that piece of paper.
It's a living, breathing document, all right?
Well, I signed it with my left hand, so it doesn't count. My player to watch today. This is a good question, Adam. Because last time I went with the Minnesota kid, and he did me well. He did me well at Amir Coffee, but I don't think I'm going to double. I think I've picked Amir 3 of the last 4 times. With Kawhi being my other pick. I like Ivica Zubac. He's been very effective against this Minnesota team. I'm going to go Norman Powell in this game. I know that's not the hedge my bets type pick here for the Clippers, but if you remember, Adam, last time the Clippers took on Minnesota, it was one of the worst games of the season for Norman Powell. He was just 1 for 10 from the field. Then he had one of his best games of his Clipper career in this building last year in a game where they scored 99 points. He had 30 of them for this Clipper team. He needs to play well in this game. Again, less attention on him. I feel like the game is probably getting easier for Norman Powell at this point in the season. Would love to see him hit some big shots. The Clippers have not shot the ball well against Minnesota from outside the arc, under 30%, under 35% in both of those games.
Clippers coming off maybe their most complete game of the season, where they had 8 players in double figures for just the 11th time in franchise history. One of those players coming off the bench, and Kevin Porter Jr. had 15 points, 6 of 7 shooting, 7 assists to just 1 turnover. I think it might have been his most impactful, efficient game as a Clipper so far. I want to see if he can keep this up and start to build up that consistency, because they need a lot of what he brings. It's just been a little bit up and down so far this season, Carlo.
It has been a little bit up and down. He's trying to find his rhythm. Again, a guy who didn't play basketball last year, so got to cut him a little bit of slack. But we are 35 games into the season at this point. You feel like for Kevin Porter Jr., Adam, and every time Ty Lue is asked about him, he says you got to get downhill, got to get into the paint, because he is a good creator on the offensive end. As good as he is a scorer, he creates for his teammates very, very well. Can KPJ continue to build up those assist numbers on the season, just averaging 3 a contest? He is also a better shooter statistically on the road. Not sure what it is about playing on the road, but Kevin Porter Jr. is a much better three-point shooter when he is away from home, about 12 points difference from his season average. So can he find a way to knock down a couple of threes? I think what I'm excited about for Kevin Porter Jr. is now he's probably going to be playing more with Derrick Jones Jr. or Chris Dunn. You have another athletic guard who can spread the floor, who can get downhill. And when you have KPJ driving to the rim, he's going to look for the dunker. We've seen him do it with Mo Bamba. We've seen him do it with Ivica Zubac. Now Derrick Jones Jr. can fly baseline. I imagine KPJ will be looking for Derrick Jones Jr. on a couple of lobs.
Yeah, we'll see if Dunk City travels after the Clippers had the most dunks in a game so far this season. Last time out against Atlanta at home at Intuit Dome. Tonight, they're taking on the Timberwolves. Carlo Jimenez is on the road from Target Center and on the call. Coming up next here on Clippers Countdown, we will get your keys to victory right here on the Los Angeles Clippers Audio Network. Clippers tipping off in just moments from now in Minnesota. So let's get to your keys to victory. Minnesota Timberwolves have been a strong shooting team from the outside so far in the season, about 38% from three on 40 attempts per game. You got to be aware of that. Run them off the line. And this is a team where, hey, you can let Anthony Edwards get his. And as long as you turn off the water, turn off the faucet for everyone else, you can survive in a ball game like that. We just saw it with them losing to Detroit in a game where Ant just had his career high 53 points. All right, here we go. It's Carlo Jimenez on the call for Clippers and Wolves from Target Center in Minnesota. And tip-off is coming up next right here on the Los Angeles Clippers Audio Network.